What if a single glass of water every morning could quietly change your heart, your gut, your brain, and your immune system, and the main ingredient costs almost nothing? Most people walk past it every day without a second thought. But what happens inside your body when you drink it consistently for 30 days straight is something very few people are prepared for. Before we go any further, if you stumbled onto this channel for the first time, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Then tap the like button and drop this video in a message to someone who is always looking for simple ways to feel better. You won't regret it. Now let's get into what this humble little bulb actually does when you give it 30 days to work. Garlic has been used as food and medicine for thousands of years across dozens of cultures. Ancient Egyptians gave it to workers building the pyramids. Greek athletes consumed it before competition. Soldiers in World War I used it to prevent wound infections. But for most of us today, garlic is just something that makes pasta taste better. We underestimate it completely. And that underestimation might be costing us more than we realize. When you crush a raw garlic clove and add it to warm water every morning, you're not just making a slightly unpleasant drink. You're triggering a chemical process that releases one of the most studied and most powerful natural compounds in nutritional science. That compound is called allicin. And here's the thing about allicin that most people never learn. It does not actually exist in whole garlic. It only forms when you crush or chop the clove because crushing breaks open two separate components that then combine to create it. And that reaction takes time, about 10 minutes specifically. This is why the method matters so much. Crush your garlic, walk away. Come back 10 minutes later and then prepare your drink. If you crush it and immediately drop it into hot boiling water, you destroy most of what you were trying to create. Heat kills allicin quickly. Warm water is fine. Room temperature water is fine. But boiling water undoes the whole point. And garlic powder? It almost never contains meaningful allicin. Neither do most supplements, unless the label specifically says standardized allicin content. Fresh crushed garlic rested for 10 minutes. That is the version that actually works. So you start. Day 1. 2 crushed cloves sitting in 8 ounces of warm water, maybe a squeeze of lemon. You drink it. It tastes like something you were not quite expecting at 7 in the morning. There's a warming sensation in your chest. Your breath becomes the kind of thing you warn other people about. And somewhere inside your body, something very quiet begins to shift. Within the first week, the most significant early change is happening in your cardiovascular system. Allicin works on blood vessels in a way that closely resembles how some blood pressure medications work. It signals the muscles around your arterial walls to relax. When those walls relax, blood moves through them more easily and the pressure drops. Your heart does not have to push as hard to do its job. For people who have been told their blood pressure is creeping upward, this first week can be the start of something genuinely meaningful. At the same time, garlic is making your blood slightly less sticky. That might sound like an odd thing to want, but it matters enormously. Blood that flows freely and doesn't clump or form clots unnecessarily is blood that protects you from heart attacks and strokes. The dangerous clots that cause those events are made possible by blood that is too prone to aggregation. Garlic reduces that tendency, not in a way that is dangerous on its own, but powerfully enough that if you are already taking blood-thinning medications, you need to talk to your doctor before starting this. The conversation matters. For everyone else, this early cardiovascular effect is one of the most well-supported benefits in the clinical literature. And then day 7 comes. For a significant number of people, this is when things get uncomfortable before they get better. The gut starts responding in ways that feel alarming at first. Bloating, gas, a strange heaviness in the stomach. Some people feel sluggish. Some people notice their body odor changing. And at this point, many people give up, right when the most important transition is happening. What is actually occurring is that garlic is disrupting the balance of bacteria in your gut. It is feeding the beneficial bacteria while suppressing harmful strains. That disruption feels uncomfortable because your gut microbiome is reorganizing. It is a sign that something is actually happening, not a sign that you should stop. Start with 1 clove if you are sensitive. Work your way up. Push through the discomfort of that first week and a half, because what waits on the other side is the reason people who complete 30 days almost never want to stop. Here is something worth pausing on. Your gut is not just a digestion machine. It is connected to virtually everything else your body does. It influences your immune response. It affects your mood through a direct chemical communication pathway to your brain. It impacts your sleep quality, your energy levels, your skin, and even your ability to think clearly. When the ecosystem inside your gut improves, almost everything else improves with it. And garlic is one of the most effective natural tools for improving that ecosystem that science has ever studied. It specifically suppresses a bacteria called H. pylori, which is directly linked to stomach ulcers and certain types of gastric cancer. It also actively feeds the lactobacillus strains, the same kind of beneficial bacteria found in probiotics, helping them flourish and crowd out the harmful species. By the end of week 2, something else is happening that you cannot feel but would love if you could watch it in real time. Garlic is working on your cholesterol, but not in the oversimplified way people usually describe it. What garlic actually does is not just lower bad cholesterol, it protects it from oxidation. Here is why that distinction matters. LDL cholesterol, the kind people call bad, is not inherently dangerous when it is circulating in your blood in normal amounts. It only becomes truly dangerous when it gets oxidized, chemically damaged by free radicals, and then begins sticking to your artery walls, building up into plaques that narrow and harden your arteries over time. That is the process that leads to blockages, heart attacks, and strokes. Garlic interrupts that process at the oxidation step. It acts as an antioxidant, specifically within the cardiovascular system, protecting your arteries from the inside. 30 days will not reverse years of accumulated damage, but 30 days will genuinely start turning things in a better direction. That is not a small claim. Now here's the part that most people genuinely do not expect. And if you are only half paying attention, this is the moment to tune back in completely. Somewhere between days 14 and 21, people who drink garlic water consistently start noticing something that has nothing to do with their heart or their gut. They start feeling sharper, clearer, less foggy in the mornings, more steady in their mood throughout the day. And there is a direct scientific reason for this that is worth understanding. Garlic compounds are small enough to cross what is called the blood-brain barrier, the protective membrane that controls what gets into your brain tissue from the bloodstream. Once inside, they act as anti-inflammatory agents directly in brain tissue. They protect neurons from damage. They have been shown in clinical research to slow the buildup of amyloid plaques, the protein deposits associated with Alzheimer's disease. One study following older adults with early-stage memory decline found measurable improvements in memory and cognitive function. In the group taking garlic regularly compared to a placebo group over a 12-month period, most people noticed the early version of this. Better blood flow to the brain, reduced neurological inflammation within 3 to 4 weeks. You might find that your afternoon mental slump is less pronounced, that you're less irritable, that ideas connect faster. These are not coincidences. They are what happens when inflammation in your brain starts to come down. And inflammation is the connecting thread running through all of this. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood by researchers to be a foundational driver behind heart disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, several common cancers, autoimmune conditions, and the vague but relentless exhaustion and mental fogginess that millions of people have simply accepted as the normal feeling of being alive. Garlic does not just fight one type of inflammation in one location. It targets the biochemical signaling molecules, specifically something called NF-κB, that keep your body locked in that chronically inflamed state. Reducing that signal reduces inflammation system-wide. Joints ache less, muscles recover faster after exercise, skin clears up, sleep deepens, energy becomes more consistent throughout the day. These effects compound over weeks, which is precisely why 30 consecutive days is the target rather than a week or two. Now, look, if you have been watching this long and this is connecting with you, do something useful right now while you're thinking about it. Screenshot this video, send it to someone in your life, a parent, a friend, a partner, who you know is dealing with blood pressure issues, low energy, or just feeling generally run down. You do not have to explain anything. Just send it and say, watch this. That one small action could matter more than you know. Let's talk about blood sugar, because this is genuinely one of the most underreported benefits of regular garlic use, and it affects far more people than realize it. Garlic improves what is called insulin sensitivity. That means your cells become better at recognizing and responding to the insulin your body produces, so they absorb blood glucose more efficiently. Your body needs to produce less insulin to do the same job. And the sharp spikes in blood sugar that follow meals, the ones that leave you feeling energized for 20 minutes and then crashing into exhaustion, become meaningfully smaller and shorter. Reviews of multiple human trials have shown consistent reductions in fasting blood sugar levels in people who consumed garlic regularly. Fasting blood glucose is the number your doctor checks after you have not eaten overnight, and it is one of the primary markers for prediabetes and diabetes risk. For anyone dealing with that afternoon energy crash, for anyone who has been told their blood sugar is heading in the wrong direction, or for anyone managing type 2 diabetes alongside their medical care, this is not a minor side note. It is one of the most practical things available to them that costs almost nothing and has virtually no side effects for most people. There's also a metabolic component here that specifically affects where your body stores fat. Garlic activates an enzyme system that researchers describe as a kind of metabolic regulator. It helps cells burn fat more efficiently and helps balance hunger signals so you are not fighting cravings on pure willpower all day. But the more specific effect is on cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and when it is chronically elevated, which it is for an enormous percentage of people living with constant low-level stress, your body responds by aggressively storing fat in the abdominal region. Stubborn belly fat that does not respond to diet or exercise is, in many cases, a cortisol problem as much as a calorie problem. Garlic reduces cortisol production. Lower cortisol means your body stops treating your midsection as an emergency storage depot. That alone is worth paying attention to. And then there is the liver. The liver is your body's primary filtration system. Everything you consume, food, medication, alcohol, environmental toxins, passes through it. When the liver is under chronic stress, it accumulates fat, inflammation builds up within it, and its ability to regulate cholesterol, blood sugar hormones, and detoxification begins to decline. Fatty liver disease is now one of the fastest growing health conditions in developed countries, often developing silently over years without obvious symptoms. Garlic directly activates the liver's own detoxification enzymes and boosts its production of glutathione, the liver's most important protective compound. Human studies have shown meaningful reductions in elevated liver enzyme markers in people with fatty liver disease after consistent garlic consumption. If your last blood panel showed elevated liver numbers, or if alcohol is a regular part of your life, this is one of the most impactful and affordable dietary changes available to you. Now let's bring the full 30-day picture together, because understanding the progression is what makes the commitment feel real rather than vague. In days 1 through 5, you are adjusting, your breath changes, some bloating or mild stomach discomfort is common. There may be a warming sensation in your chest after drinking. These are normal reactions to a real compound entering your system. Start with 1 clove if you are sensitive and work up to 2 by day 3 or 4. Around days 6 through 10, something shifts. The gut discomfort usually begins to ease. Many people notice they have more energy in the afternoons. Not a dramatic surge, but the absence of the usual slump. Sleep quality often begins to improve as cortisol starts to moderate. Blood pressure, if it was elevated, may begin drifting downward. Between days 11 and 20, the changes become more layered. Joint stiffness reduces. Skin often clears or becomes more even. Digestion improves noticeably. If you exercise, recovery feels faster. Mental clarity starts becoming something you notice because the fog you were used to is simply less present. Days 21 through 30 are where the compounding becomes undeniable. Everything that started in week 1 has now been running for a month. Your cardiovascular system, your immune function, your gut, your liver, your brain, your blood sugar regulation, all of them have been receiving the same daily input for 30 straight mornings. If you have access to basic blood work, getting tested before day 1 and again at the end of day 30 is one of the most interesting things you can do. The numbers have a way of confirming what you feel. Here's the preparation method written out simply so you can start tomorrow morning without any guesswork. Take 1 to 2 raw garlic cloves. Crush them with the flat side of a knife or the back of a spoon. Do not slice them, do not mince them, crush them. That physical crushing is what starts the allicin formation reaction. Set them aside for 10 full minutes. Do not skip this. Then add the crushed cloves to about 8 ounces of warm water. Not boiling, not scalding, warm or even room temperature. If you want to improve both the effectiveness and the taste, add the juice of half a lemon, which improves absorption, a small amount of raw honey for antimicrobial support and palatability, and a small pinch of black pepper, which meaningfully enhances allicin absorption in the body. Drink it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach if you can. If that bothers your stomach, a light meal alongside it is perfectly fine. And before you finish this video, there is one warning that needs to be said clearly. If you are currently taking blood-thinning medications, warfarin, aspirin therapy, or similar, talk to your doctor before you begin. Garlic's effect on blood clotting is real and measurable, and it can amplify the effect of these medications. This is not a reason to avoid garlic water. It is a reason to have a 5-minute conversation with your physician first. If you have a surgical procedure scheduled, stop garlic water at least 2 weeks before the procedure. Beyond these specific situations, consistent garlic water is one of the safest, most thoroughly studied natural health practices available, with thousands of years of traditional use and decades of modern clinical research supporting it. 30 days, 2 cloves, a glass of water every morning. That is the entire ask. And what you are giving that ask is the chance to improve your blood pressure, protect your arteries, strengthen your immune system, rebuild your gut microbiome, stabilize your blood sugar, support your liver, reduce chronic inflammation throughout your entire body, and protect the health of your brain. All simultaneously from something that fits in your kitchen and costs less than a cup of coffee. Most of us spend significant money chasing health. We buy supplements with complicated names on expensive labels. We sign up for programs. We look for the next thing that might finally make us feel better. And sitting in a drawer in the kitchen the whole time is a bulb of garlic that has been doing this work quietly for 5,000 years. The people who feel the most different at day 30 are not the ones who waited for the perfect moment to start. They are the ones who crushed 2 cloves the morning after they decided to try it. Tomorrow morning is yours. Crush the garlic, let it sit. Add the water, drink it, then come back in 30 days and tell us what changed. We genuinely want to hear it.